Hello, Guardians. Welcome back to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Deering, and alongside me, as always, is my golden son, Josh Finney.
That right before we went to broadcast, that fucking Golden Sun got announced as coming to Expansion
Both
Pass.
of them.
I said that when Golden Sun came to Expansion Pass, I would finally do it. Nintendo is calling my bluff. They're calling me out. I'm doing it, Corey. I'm signing up for the Expansion Pass.
Yeah.
I'm ready because, I mean, listen. The Game Boy Advance game was always going to get me. That was the thing. It had to be that and or GameCube games to get me to sign up. I don't care about N64 games anymore.
Well, it looks like they're just going to remaster all the GameCube games.
Oh my god, it's making me so mad because, of course, like the game that they're starting it all with is Thousand Year Door, which is one of my all-time favorite games.
Well, that's not 100% true. They put out Metroid Prime Remastered this year. And Mario
that's a sore spot for me. I bought it. Yeah, I have a physical copy of it. It's still in the cellophane. I don't know if I'll be playing it. It's a bit of a hitting home for me, so I don't think I'll bring myself to play it. But yeah, I hate Nintendo's business strategy. But Corey,
yes,
I'm not here to complain about Nintendo, believe it or not.
Shocker.
Shocker. Absolute shocker. I'm here to complain about the state of Destiny for the first time in 2024.
Yeah.
Oh
boy. Are you ready to go back into hibernation until April?
Man. let me tell you guys, I'm gonna get really real with you. I basically disconnected from playing games for like the last 3 or 4 weeks. I finished Sea of Stars for the most part. I made my Game of the Year list. I played a little bit of Fortnite. I played a little bit of Call of Duty. And I've been slowly working my way through a New Game Plus run of Persona 5 with my girlfriend. And let me tell you guys, this is the most relaxed I've been as a gamer in a very long time. I played bare minimum Destiny. I basically did the exotic mission and then peaced out for the holidays. I am completely this is a conversation that's gonna be had probably a little bit later on in this 6-month season. We're barely a month into this season, and I'm completely at peace about how I feel about the game right now. I'm completely at peace that this is the least I've played a season up to this point ever. I've barely cracked level 50 on the season pass. I feel completely at peace about it. And that's coming off of my praise of Coil and everything else. Like the exotic mission is really rad. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. Like the dungeon is rad. I've accepted that, like, in terms of how I feel about always online games, my feelings have drastically shifted in the years when we've been doing this program. And also, like, now we're hitting the critical mass of single player games that we've been excited about for so long are finally coming out. 2023 was like really like the dam broke.
God, dude, there are so many games.
There were games we didn't even get to.
Yeah, so like between Xbox Casuals and the Boss Rush podcast, Josh, like we talked about so many games that I forgot half of these games came out in 2023 because we talked about so many goddamn games.
It's funny because like we did our top 10s and had a pretty lengthy discussion about like the future of Xbox and whatnot going forward on the first Xbox Casuals of the year, which went live on Tuesday morning. Check that out. And both you and I gave our top 10s, and we were like, still missed 2 of the biggest games of the year. Like, it's not that they're not ranked; it's that we just didn't get to play them.
Yeah,
and that's Baldur's Gate and Alan Wake. And so it's like I'm trying to find time to like put those in this year, and like hopefully Baldur's Gate is coming soon. But I mean, this year's already off to a start. Prince of Persia dropped today, got amazing reviews.
Yeah,
the next Yakuza comes out in like a week and a half. Tekken 8 comes out in about 2 weeks. That awesome Brian Cox narrated video was fantastic.
I know. I'm like, what is Brian Cox narrating?
Listen, if you let that man narrate the full history of Metal Gear Solid, it would be the first YouTube video essay to ever win an Emmy Award. But like, we're going straight into Persona 3 Reload. Helldivers comes out. I'm excited to play the Jujutsu Kaisen game, even though it's going to be trash. We're getting Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We're getting Dragon's Dogma 2. We're getting Rise of the Ronin. This is such a stacked Q1, and we don't even have the full dates for everything yet. Like, at some point in Q1, we're supposed to get Stalker 2 dropping.
Yeah,
I just
you think that'll be that'll be at the Xbox Direct next week, right?
nope, it's not a
I
first party
mean,
game.
you don't think they'll like say
No,
anything about it at all?
nope.
I mean, I know it's all first party stuff, but
No, it's gonna be exclusively first party stuff.
no, it's fine.
Yeah, I don't think it's there at all. I keep seeing people bring it up, and I'm like, it's not going to be there. They've been very clear. These are they have developer directs and then they have partner directs. So I thought the partner direct last fall definitely needed some work, but it was like better than the state of plays we've gotten lately. There's supposed to be a state of play and a Nintendo Direct coming soon. That Nintendo Direct, I bet serious money has to Switch to, which adds a
I
whole nother
I
wrinkle into my like post Final Shape Destiny career. If the Switch 2
I don't think the Switch 2 will be in a Nintendo Direct. They're gonna do that on their own. Like it'll have its own direct.
Anyways, the Switch 2 is imminent. Game Shark, of all people, accidentally leaked that it's coming in September.
Game Shark. Yeah.
Which, if you're keeping track on the bingo cards, that's like one of the dates everybody had circled already anyway. So we're like, oh yeah, okay, cool. Like they wanna make sure that there's like no big games coming over the next 6 months. It's all remasters and re-releases for the most part. Like Super Princess Peach is like the only new game coming.
It's called Princess Peach Showtime.
Whatever. I keep calling it Super Princess Peach because I think of the DS game.
My daughter is quite excited for it, sir. Okay.
I'm pretty sure my girlfriend will be really excited for it. I am not. It's just, but it's like all these things are happening, and like we were planning on coming back from the break and being like, oh man, it's only 6 weeks until the final shape. Are we ready? Are we actually ready to see the end of this story? And now it's like, oh god, we've got 6 months until the final shape.
I know. I'm like really having a hard time trying to be excited.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess let's start there. Like, I don't, and this is a sentiment that I've seen. You know, I've had a lot of friends express to me, just like, yeah, nah, I'm playing kind of bare minimum Destiny right now. Like, just kind of tuning in for the story stuff. Don't really feel like I got to be there for anything. Like, interested to see what Riven's Wishes is going to be in February, especially now that the story is concluded? Question mark. Interested to see what that is. It's feeling more and more likely that Into the Light in April is probably going to be bringing back the old campaigns to some degree. Or like major story beats, even if it's like flashback missions. Like we're probably going to get a handful of them, like beating the meatball for the first time, you know, free Aldrin, and I don't know, maybe killing Gaul again. Like there's a handful of missions that you could toss in there, I guess.
Yeah.
So because they've billed it as everybody getting ready for the final shape. Okay, cool. You let us live out our nostalgia and you let everybody else get caught up and get like the spark notes of the game.
That'd be cool though if you made like a 20 mission campaign of like the story so far minus what's available, like, you know,
I
up to Shadowkeep, I guess.
At that point, just give me the campaigns back. I understand there's filler,
Yeah,
especially when you get back
but
into the older campaigns, but just give me the full thing. I paid for it. Give
that's
me
the
the full
thing
thing
though.
back.
That's the thing though, is like the filler. Like, how do you filter out the filler without taking away what you need, right? Like that's the whole thing. Because there are
Yeah.
entire missions in D2's vanilla campaign where you're setting up patrol points and
But
you
the
know.
dialogue that's happening during it actually matters,
I know
unfortunately.
that's what I'm saying is like, how do you filter that?
Just fuck it. Everybody plays games with filler missions. Everybody's played a Ubisoft game in their life. Like, and just suck it up, Buttercup. If you want the old campaigns back, this is the price you pay. That's basically how I feel.
We already paid the price, Josh.
I paid for these campaigns. I better damn well get them back. I become like really crotchety over this.
I've noticed
in the past couple of months. I'm like getting angrier and angrier when I have to talk about the state of this game. Like PvP is a fucking catastrophe right now. Diehard PvPers can't decide if Checkmate's the greatest thing since sliced bread, or if it's like literally Satan imposing his will on humanity.
At some point, somebody's going to ask us the state of this show.
I just like, and I'm not like, I'm really trying. Like, we've always tried to put a positive spin on everything, but it's like there is no spin.
Yeah,
there is no spin. I'm not out here screaming that the sky is falling. I'm just saying, like, in terms of how I feel. Like, I was talking to Nerd Generalist about this. I think it was last week, and he was like, "Man, I'm totally checked out right now. And I was like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much like outside of like doing the story missions and like checking out the exotic, like I'm just building up all the exotic catalyst quests at this point. Just gonna go do them all in one run.
Yeah.
I just don't care. And
Yeah.
that's less of I want to be really clear. For me, it's less of a fact of the state the game is in and more of just I've spent 10 years playing this game.
Mm-hmm.
I have friends who played WoW for, 8 to 10 years and they fell off, like not because of anything else, but just because like they were ready for something new. And I think that like we've said it before and like I'm gonna keep saying it for the next 6 months. Like it's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay to feel that way. It's okay to go play something else. I know like we have several people that we talk to regularly in the Discord. I know, not to call them out in a bad way or anything. Ronnie is one of the guys that we've talked to, and he said, hey, this is my main game. This is the game I come to hang out with my friends. This is the game I
Mm-hmm.
really like playing. Like I'll play the
And
content
there's a
over
lot
and
of
over
people
again.
that do that.
There are a lot of people who do that. I was one of those for years, and that's
Yeah.
totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If the game is still bringing you joy, then by all means, my friends, you go for it. Do not let me like throwing myself like I'm throwing a hissy fit over here. Like, oh, I'm not as invested in the game anymore. That doesn't mean that it's bad.
Jesus.
That just means I'm playing these mega long games and I just don't have it in me to have Hawthorne tell me about how I woke up the Traveler, took down Gaul. I don't have it in me anymore, guys.
Yeah.
Shax is still saying dialogue from the Red War in the tower. How are we at this point?
Yeah. I just yeah, I it's not that I'm not like excited for the final shape. It's just
Right.
the state of the game this past year and just everything surrounding not just the game but Bungie and the layoffs and the whatever you want to say about leadership there. It's been a really hard year to really love Destiny again, and it's been honestly like
Yeah.
I'm not done with this season story. I'll play it eventually, right? But like you said, we have 6 months to do anything that we need to do before the final shape. And I'm enjoying I mean, I mean, I spent my break playing games with my kids, you
Yeah.
know? Like that was my break and
I want to make it like super duper clear. I am stoked for the final shape.
yes.
I am extremely excited to see the resolution of this story. I'm very, very, I don't know if I've ever been this excited for a raid. Like it is 6 months away. Fox was hitting me up the other day in DMs asking if me and him are going to get a team together to tackle that on the first weekend. And right now I'm in my little boohoo mode. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be playing by then. I don't know if I want to do it on day one. Motherfuckers, I'm going to be there day one. I'm going to be trying this raid right away because I got to beat the witness. I got to do it. It's a question of how long do I stay engaged after that. Like it coming out in the summer is kind of perfect. Not a lot of big releases come out in the summer. I can kind of devote just June, July, and probably the first half of August to playing the final shape, doing everything to my heart's content. And then after that, I don't know if I'm going to keep up with episodes because guess what? This fall is starting to stack up already in terms of things that we may or may not be getting. And I want to go play those single player experiences over the game I've been playing for 10 years that just reached the conclusion of its main story.
Yeah. I mean,
And
I
that's the
think
point I think a lot of us are at right now.
yeah, I mean we always said like when we started this show, we kind of always said that this show in particular had an expiration date.
Yeah.
Um and it's not that we don't want to keep podcasting together. I mean, hell, we started an Xbox podcast together too,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's but like a couple people have asked me like, what are you going to do with Tower Casuals after the final shape? And I'm like, I don't know.
We haven't had the discussion yet.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the Discord is going to be open and we're going to keep playing with everybody. And like, I love Destiny and I love this show, but I mean, if you don't want a show where the hosts' hearts aren't in it, or like, we are going to go play other games. Maybe we'll, instead of this every week, we'll do this every other week and Xbox Casuals every other week, or, and
get them on alternating schedules.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like the original plan for this show was to just like kind of do it whenever we felt like it. But we had such a steady stream of content coming out from Arrivals onward that it made sense to do it every week. And this isn't me saying like, oh, we're gonna stop doing it every week, but like, hey, there may be like a spring break for us
Mm-hmm.
because there's not a lot going on. Like, it really
Yeah.
all depends on what does wishes look like by the time
Yeah.
April comes, and because we know we're getting another showcase in April, we know we're getting into the light, like, we're locked in. I am locked in.
Mm-hmm.
By like early to mid-April, I will be locked in. I'm
Yep.
ready to go. The countdown is on. The point that I thought I'd
Yes.
be at today is happening. I'm ready. Like, I'm ready
Yeah.
at that point.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, by April, when the cycle starts, the marketing cycle starts ramping up again, and probably once we start hearing stuff about wishes and everything, like, yeah, we'll be locked in. It's just like right now, it's like really hard to be engaged and
Yeah.
excited.
That's not to say there's not stuff to talk about.
No, there's definitely stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
My point is like, I mean, we just talked about the hell of a year 2023 was, and we're sitting here talking about Prince of Persia for 10 minutes before we started recording, and
Yeah.
it's like, we're already getting games. So
Like, we've been asked, it's been requested by more than a few people to do a Baldur's Gate episode.
yes, and
And
we will
that
get
will
that in.
come this spring. Baldur's
Mhm.
Casuals will happen. It'll be a one-off. We'll put it on both feeds. I promise. I'll do it. I, at this point, need to find the money and the time to sit down and actually be able to play Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
Honestly, I haven't talked to Corey about this yet, but I've, tossed around the idea of maybe doing an RPG corner once a month, as, hey, we're going to take 20 minutes out of this episode to talk about RPGs, kind of like we did when I was playing through Mass Effect for the first time.
Mhm.
And,
Yeah.
hey, like, because there are 3 major RPGs that I'm going to be spending a ton of time with outside of Baldur's Gate when I finally get to it
Yeah.
this spring. I'm going to be spending time with you guys. Know how I feel about Persona. You guys know how I feel about Final Fantasy. And then Dragon's Dogma 2 is happening. Like, these are games that I want to be able to talk about. And thankfully, they're all coming before we get that big push in
Mhm.
April. So I want to see how the next couple months shake out, because I think in particular, the next like 8 weeks is going to be pretty rough for Destiny fans. And I mean, wishes could just blow us away, but I'm not really counting on it. And it's not me trying to be like, oh, Bungie can't put in anything good right now. It's that, look at how short of a time they had to throw something together.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting the world from that, especially with your storyline concluded.
Mhm.
Like, if it's just going to be, oh, go run the coil, oh, go run Grandmasters, like that does nothing for me.
Right.
I want to see actual content. And I know that is such a steep demand in such a tight time frame, when all heads need to be down working on the final shape and making it as good as possible. There's a reason why they delayed it for the 4 months. Like, you have to have heads down working on that. We've thrown it out before, like, we're not even ruling out another delay. If it gets delayed again, I don't know what the fuck we're gonna do.
Yeah.
But we'll cross that bridge if and when it comes to it.
I still think there's going to be another delay.
I personally am not super optimistic about that June release date if it really needed as much polish as they're saying.
Yeah, well,
Um,
remember the original rumors were like September.
I mean, because that would line it up
June.
with the 10th anniversary.
Yeah, well, June sounds like a stockholders placeholder date to make sure like their stock price doesn't fall, like especially with
Well, I
Sony
mean,
in
because
charge.
they're already costing them for the
Yeah.
Q1 results. It was
Uh-huh.
supposed to be their big release of Q1, and it's not
Mhm.
happening.
Yeah,
The developers of Helldivers are breathing a gigantic sigh of relief right now,
I know.
because that was another first party game that was supposed to come out 2 weeks before.
Yeah.
Also, I think Bungie, I'll never rule out that part of this, I think, was also to get it out of the way of Final Fantasy. That is as much of a exclusive as you can possibly make a third party game. And that is, regardless of what you may think of a JRPG, that game is going to sell millions upon millions of copies. It's going to be one of the
That
biggest
game's gonna
games of
be
the
massive.
year. It is already being pegged as a front runner for game of the year predictions. Like, it's going to be massive, and
Yeah.
you better get out of the way of Q1's biggest game by far.
Yep. That game's gonna be massive.
And that was supposed to come out like 36 hours after the final shape.
Yep.
So I don't know what the whole spring is going to look like, but I want to tell you guys, we're still gonna be here. We're still gonna talk Destiny. write in on things you would like to hear us talk about. I'm going to bring back some of our old friends are going to come join us. I am talking to Joe. I need to solidify it with him. But the plan is to get Joe on here in the next week or two to finally have that in-depth discussion about bows. We've been putting it off. I want to get Joe in here to talk about this. I'm
Especially
going to
because I'll
talk
be
to
on
Johnny
vacation in a couple weeks.
Well, I'm going to be talking to Johnny about joining me for that week so that we can sit down and go through the actually pretty great arsenal that we got this season. And kind of do like an overview of like, maybe we'll have him on a second time to go over like the overall weapons of the whole year. But it's just, there comes a time when we feel like we're treading a lot of water. And I don't want to just pop in and be like, hey guys, here's the TWAB for this week, and here's my grievances with PvP for the week. Like I don't want to sit down and do that. It's just we start talking ourselves in circles at that point.
Right. And remember, that was the big problem with IGN's fire team chat for a long time, was like that was the whole like last run of their show, was like there was nothing to talk about, and all they did was complain about PvP and features not in the game, and then they ended the show,
Yeah, and I would rather have less Destiny talk and more third-party talk for a little bit, if that means that we get back to doing what we do the absolute best in the run-up to and in the immediate aftermath of the release of a major expansion.
Yep.
So, it may be a little rocky from here to March. Again, we may take a break here and there. Corey and I will talk about it more over the next couple of weeks. You guys have anything you want us to discuss? Seriously.
Yes, please
write it in. I do not mind. And I don't mean just like, oh, here's my question for the week. Like actually like DM me on Discord, DM me on Twitter. Like my DMs are open on both platforms. Hit me up, hit Corey up, hit the Tower Casuals Twitter account up. Like, let us know what you guys want to do. Like we have things to talk about tonight. We're gonna talk a little bit about the conclusion of this story. We're gonna go more in depth next week on that. Because I want to talk about the story as a whole next week for the whole year.
Yeah.
We're going to reference it a little bit tonight. I think Paul Tassi had a pretty decent timeline of how this year went. We're going to talk the exotic mission, and then we're gonna shift gears a little bit before we circle back to questions in the lore corner. We're going to talk Game of the Year 2023. Corey and I are going to give our top 10s. We're not going to do the fun categories, the side categories that we did on Monday. We're going to do our top 10s, have a little bit of discussion there, and then we'll wrap up and get out of here. So now that we've complained for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. We've only complained for 23 and a half. My bad.
I don't think we were complaining as much as setting a roadmap of expectations and why we are setting that roadmap.
It's the self-deprecation. Oh man. So Season of the Wish wrapped up this week. And if you were eagle-eyed and you read all the prompts that come up, you actually got this spoiled for you 2 weeks ago. A lot has happened since the last time that we met about the story. Not only have we gone back to the Black Garden and found, Riven's old mate, Tyrannus, but the portal to the Traveler was finally opened, and good old Crow dove through it.
Oh, Crow.
So Crow is now stuck on the other side of that portal by himself. And we're left wondering, how quickly does time pass?
Yeah.
Is he going to really be over there for 5 months by himself? Or does it just kind of like happen like a snap?
Yeah.
We know at some point Ikora ends up over there from the marketing, from the trailer we got last May. That we got where she's talking to Kate around the campfire.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is such a, I wouldn't say this is a bad ending. It's very abrupt. And I think it would be less abrupt if we were going into this expansion in a month. I also don't think we would have gotten this mission I don't think we would have gotten him diving through the portal until like 2 weeks before. I'm adamant that there is another mission to go. I still think there's going to be something much, much closer to the final shape. And I think if there wasn't already one planned, there definitely will be one now. You've had 6 months to come up with something. Even if it's just us running around and like talking to like the vendors in the tower, like getting everybody like prepared, like, you know, the beacons of Gondor have been lit essentially in the Destiny universe. I would love to gather everybody on the helm, and, you know, like it kind of be like similar to how the speaker talked to everybody in the tower at the end of Destiny 1's vanilla campaign. I would really love something like that with like a voiceover from, maybe that's how you introduce
Keith
David. Yeah, maybe that's Keith David's first lines or something, where you like piece together some of like Zavala's old dialogue. You take like one of his speeches or something and play it over that.
Yeah.
Like the speech he gives before you take back the city in the Red War.
Yeah. Like from maybe even something from like those old trailers or something.
Yeah, I think there's some really good opportunities here. This is just, I don't think this is a bad ending. It's just, it's abrupt, and it's kind of not in like the scheme of things. I wouldn't say it's random, but it feels like we needed like another couple weeks of story on top of this, because like we ran into the same problem we run into every season. Oh, there's a couple weeks with like no story progression. And we really got to stop doing that. I don't think it's any coincidence that one of the tightest seasons we've ever had for storytelling in a season was Risen, when it was only 4 weeks of story. And boom, 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 boom. We were done in a month with that season. And a lot of us attributed it to, oh, well, you know, that's the season that, you know, the Witch Queen launched. And yeah, it was pretty great. I could just pop in, do the story, and then go back to doing Witch Queen stuff. And I played, what do you know? I played the game a little bit more than I normally would when an expansion came out. You know, you got to focus on all these mysteries and all these other things that were going on, you know, running Vow of the Disciple repeatedly. You know, you got to do all these things. And well, I didn't really have to worry about, oh, go do the seasonal event like 3 times this week to advance the story. Nothing. You know, and this time it's different. Like, oh, you're running a coil each week, or you're running a Riffin's Lair to get, you know, to get an egg. And oh boy, oh boy, let me tell you, it's really jazzing me up making that omelet.
I like a good omelet though, Josh.
I do like a good omelet.
I'm gonna have one in a couple weeks at Chef Mickey's.
Man, I hate you.
No, you don't.
But I think some of the dialogue is really interesting. Riven kind of waxes poetic when the mission starts up with the dialogue that she says to you. This is directly pulled from the text on the screen at the beginning, and how she talks to you. The time has come for you to retrieve the last remaining egg from the heart of the confluence, and for Riven to fulfill her promise. Doing so will require a great expenditure of my power. The Techians will not be able to maintain my conjuring afterwards, which is to say, the wish will be our farewell, O guardian mine. What a strange life this has been. And though it was all taken from me, in the end, my murderer set me free and ensured the future of the progeny my mate and I created. Now I will sacrifice my lingering existence to ensure your future in return. Perhaps I am more like Tyrannus than I would like to admit. He always claimed that I was. This is just one of those missions that I think, especially when you get to the final cutscene, that it's just gonna stick with us. You know, you get Mara, you get Crow and Petra all in this room, and you're there obviously, and you know you got the spirit of Riven talking and this and that, and it's really a great example of the power of an Ahamkara. This is the first time we've really gotten it on display, and oh boy, the fact that the funniest part about this is only one person gets to go through it. Yeah. But the moment him and Mara share before Crow goes through the portal is really special, you know, where they touch palms, and they go through, or he goes through at least, is just, man, it's a moment that, as much as we may gripe about how we got there, it's a very powerful moment in Crow's storyline.
Yeah.
It's a moment that truly, to me, feels earned. Yeah. It's pretty fitting that it's him who jumps through it. And I mean, like, logically, it should be our guardian who jumps through it, right? But with it not being ours who jumps through, I mean, that's obviously how they explain away, oh, well, you can't access your character until the final shape.
Right.
I like the idea of Crow being the one to go through it. It's an earned moment. It's a big moment that, you know, him and Mara share right there before he jumps through. A really cool cutscene, I think, to caps off, as Paul Tassi said, a really uneven year of storytelling. Because, I mean, I think we've had so many highs.
Yeah.
And we've had so many lows at the same time.
Yeah, it's been an interesting year just for the fact that it started so high or so low, really.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it started high with our hype and expectations, but then like definitely hit a low that we haven't seen in a long time, and then gradually ramping up to like sort of good in the middle seasons, and now we're just in this waiting period of now we're heading back down that excitement. You know, it's like this whole year, man, it's just been definitely inconsistent and uneven.
Yeah, I think in terms of like the game overall, it's definitely been consistent. I think like just specifically talking about like the narrative, like you know, you have Lightfall, which I still maintain I don't think that Lightfall is truly bad. I do think it's lackluster compared to what we were expecting, and I do think part of that was us building it up, us buying into the marketing hype, not just like us specifically, but like the fan base as a whole. And we were riding the high of how good the Witch Queen was, but also like you look at how consistently good seasons were from Arrivals through, I would say, Haunted, in terms of the story that they were telling. Like, yeah, they were starting to feel samey in terms of the activities, but in terms of the story that was being told, it was worth it.
Yeah. And I still think some of the stories they were telling this year were pretty good.
Absolutely. And that's kind of where I'm like steering the conversation to, I guess, is, you know, we have these lows, the story on Neomuna, you know, Nimbus. We have some lows there. You know, the ultimate resolution of the Callus story is, you know, rough.
That's a word for it. Yep.
The Callus stuff is rough. But there's
the
a bunch of
so disappointing, man.
There's a bunch of stuff that I really loved this year, though. The origin of the witness, that is one of the best cutscenes we've ever gotten.
Yes, but also it was stuck at the end of a seasonal mission in a 2-minute cutscene when I feel like that should have been something grand to reveal almost.
And I mean that was definitely the complaint that, you know, people like, you know, us and Bife, Datto, like basically anybody who cares about the story was saying, like, this should have been like the ultimate revelation of Lightfall, probably. Like we probably should have gotten this upon beating the witness in Lightfall.
Yeah.
It is and always will be disappointing that was not part of the main game. But if that's what it took for them to give us cutscenes in the timeline, then so be it. I think that's a really rad cutscene. I may not have cared for Defiance like at all. LOL, Amanda Holiday. Remember when she died?
Hardly.
But remember when Aramis just randomly saves Mithrax and then just fucks off, apparently never to be found ever again in the game?
Yeah.
Thanks to the lore tabs that we've gotten, like, I feel like Benioff and Weiss when they're talking about the last season of Game of Thrones. Well, we kind of forgot that she existed. That's about how I feel that the Destiny writers got with Aramis. It's like, we've got more important things to wrap up. But you know, you have the unevenness of Defiance, which you know, it's a disappointing season on top of a fairly disappointing story expansion, right? You get the easiest raid in the game, but I still think has probably the coolest aesthetic. The Terraform Pyramid is rad as all hell.
Yeah, that raid was really cool.
I think it's really cool. I think that, you know, we needed a starter raid for people to get into raiding. Just maybe it didn't need to come in your lead up to the end of the story we're telling.
Yeah.
I also think Deep Stone Crypt
feel like
is perfectly fine as an intro raid.
I was about to say the same thing. I'm like, I feel like Deep Stone Crypt was your intro raid for this.
Deep Stone Crypt, Vault. I think those are both great intro raids.
Yeah.
The new Crota's End is a really good one to introduce people to raiding too. Very, very few mechanics in that raid. But you have all that. You move on to the third season of the year, which was Witch, and I think Witch was really dope. We both talked about how we enjoyed the deep dive activity and like the roguelike elements. And I loved the deck building of Witch. I wish it was incorporated to the overall game more than just that one or two modes. But I
I
really
wonder if
enjoyed the
they'll
deck
try at
building.
some point to do that.
I really hope that that's something they go with in the future, because I think that was really cool and was a really fun way to kind of customize how your guardian could utilize certain abilities. And I like that not every card was always active. You had to it had to be drawn for you, or you could redraw or something like that.
Yeah,
I think that was really cool. Obviously, the resolution of the Aramis and the Hive storyline and Savathun was all very cool. Bringing Amaru back was unexpected but really delightful. I don't think any of us saw that season happening, and then it did. That's probably the strongest season of the year, if we're being totally honest.
I would, yeah, I would take that 100%.
And then you have Wish, which, I mean, Wish, the story is over, but the season isn't. I feel like we can still judge the season, though. And it's just, this has been really uneven. It's weird. We get the best single seasonal activity we've ever gotten in the Coil.
Yeah, the Coil is cool.
But we get a story that is just bobbing up and down, that is clearly like trying to steer us into the final shape, but also is setting up a story that is going to be resolved in Echoes with the Soul Divisive. And, we've long speculated, a lot of lore heads have also guessed that the Vex are going to be the primary antagonist of whatever the next major expansion is.
I mean, that seems...
it's time. They've never really gotten the center focus. The
mean,
other factions are basically dead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we've already resolved everything with the other factions except some random Hive maybe, and the other faction of Cabal maybe, but also like the Vex is the one thing that has not been solved yet. So
yeah, so I think that, like, I also think something else that they've done pretty well is they gave Osiris a purpose again. Osiris has just become like quietly one of the most important characters in Destiny 2.
mm-hmm.
Not quietly. I guess that's kind of the wrong terminology to use. He was always important, but he really, he took center stage in Beyond Lightseer. And that truly turned out to be Savathun, which is just, it was so obvious, but it was still a delicious plot twist.
Mm-hmm.
That Savathun was really the one aiding us and aiding Crow and this and that for a whole year, essentially.
Yeah.
And then when Osiris awakens to help us figure out what the Veil is and where it is, and this next, he's having the visions of, from when Savathun controlled him. And then, his continued prominence this year, especially in Season of the Wish, some of the final dialogue Mara gives us this week, when you talk to her after the cutscene is, continue to cleanse the Dreaming City of the Vex that are invading. And then Osiris is going to bridge the Veil to my brother, essentially. So I think it's really cool that Osiris has continued to get to be, I mean, he was the NPC who accompanied you throughout the campaign of Lightfall. If there's a high point for a character this year, I think Osiris has got to be on that list. Osiris getting a massive glow up after he's just been getting the shit kicked out of him for a few years now.
Right.
So, really enjoyed seeing that. My gripes about Lightfall aside, that first mission is still really, really cool. Yeah. I actually love the final mission outside of the Callus fight. It's very long, but I love that mission. Just the onslaught of enemies that you fight in the courtyard with Keitel with you is awesome.
Yeah, that was
like that's such a cool story moment. We've begged for these moments for so long. Yeah. And it makes me hopeful that we'll get another one with, maybe with the Vanguard accompanying us. It was one of our praises of Witch Queen was Ikora shows up and just dropping Nova bombs on people when you're on your way to go confront Savathun. It's like, oh, we're finally seeing, these super powerful characters actually do something.
Right.
It was something that we got back in that vanilla campaign. We talk about it all the time, but in that homecoming mission of Destiny 2, when Zavala pops the bubble in the courtyard, is still such a cool moment.
Yeah.
And I'm hopeful that we see more things like that going forward. I do think we're seeing the limitations of what the Halo Reach engine can do.
Yeah, I mean,
There's a reason
unfortunate.
why Marathon is not being made on this engine.
Yeah, and I wonder if the Marathon engine will end up powering whatever the next version of Destiny is.
Yeah, it would have to be the next numbered installment, but I mean, I don't even know if we're going to get there at this point. Um, this is people have said it before, like, oh, this is a make or break year for the franchise. This is the first year where it's actually felt like true since Forsaken. Like,
Yeah.
Forsaken was coming off of, the disappointment of Vanilla D2, the absolute horrendous Curse of Osiris. And Warmind was like low key, it cooked a little. We were like, okay, that inspired a little bit of confidence. I still wonder what the reaction would have been if they didn't reveal that Cade died.
No, I
But
know.
unfortunately, that's something you had to give away in the marketing because you had to bring players back.
Yeah.
Just like I kind of wonder if they could go back, would they have revealed that Cade was coming back in the final shape, or would they have saved that? That's like a break the glass moment to me.
Yeah.
And I think like it's becoming pretty clear that they felt that they needed to do that back in May.
Mm-hmm.
Of, oh, look at how people reacted to Lightfall and Defiance. We got to break the glass here. We got to do it. We got to do it. Pull the trigger. Let's go.
Yeah.
And we'll see how it all shakes out. The year has been rocky at best. It's far from the best year of story. I'd actually say it's probably the weakest year we've had in story overall.
Yeah.
Well, not overall, but
In a while, in a long time.
Since Beyond Light, I think would be fair to say.
Yeah.
I look at the seasons that accompany Beyond Light. You had, and leaving the seasonal events out of the picture. You look at the stories told throughout Hunt, Chosen, Splicer, and Lost.
Yeah.
Great. We form an alliance with Keitel. We fight to save the city with Mithrax. We help Crow discover who he is. We save Osiris from Savathun. So many cool moments happen there. Last year we go into it and you've got Saladin having to join the Cabal because of Crow's mistakes. You've got group therapy in Haunted. We hunted the relics of Nezarec, which wasn't that cool ultimately. And then you had Seraph, which was an awesome season, resolving the Rasputin storyline finally. Anna Bray coming back into the fold,
Mm-hmm.
and then you had this year, and this year has just been rough.
It's rough.
It's the week.
Rough is an
It's
understatement. I feel.
I think Deep was still over. I think Deep and Witch were still good story wise. And I think this season is like fine story wise. It's just, man, you can pretty clearly tell they just had a couple of elements that they needed to somehow squeeze in between Lightfall and the final shape, and somehow we got 4 seasons out of it. It feels like we could axe probably everything that happened in Defiance and Deep and still come to the same conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I said as somebody who liked Deep, I just said I like the story of Deep, and a lot of that is carried by that witness cutscene.
Mm-hmm.
But like, okay, we got some resolution on the Dreaming City stuff. All right, it just feels like a bunch of stuff that we could have wrapped up. Like this could have been an email type thing.
This could have been an email.
Yeah. This year's seasons have been this could have been an email of Destiny 2. And I just, man, if this is the last we ever see of the traditional seasonal model, good riddance. Good riddance, because it's been terrible. It started out really good, and then it got just really, really tedious and repetitive to get to for all the reasons we've already talked about tonight. So yeah, interesting end to the season. We'll dive into the whole overall seasonal story more next week. Shift some gears to this Black Garden exotic mission. Of course, came out 3 days after we broke for the holidays. Naturally, they released an exotic mission the week of Christmas.
Yeah, legit. Sure.
Okay? Question mark. This is a cool mission. It's a fairly short mission. I think it's the shortest exotic mission we've gotten in a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's pretty short. I don't think it's all that long. The mechanic definitely is not hard to figure out. And I guess I kind of like that after how long Vexcalibur can be
Oh
as a
yeah,
mission.
yeah. I forgot how long
Um,
Excalibur
I
was.
think
That
that
was
mission
pretty
can be
long.
pretty long. Wicked Implement, obviously, if you mess up, guess what? You're doing the whole deep dive again. Um, I appreciate that it's not timed. That's another thing. I'll always be happy to go back to the Black Garden, and it's a new section of the Black Garden that isn't reprised from Garden of Salvation or from Vanilla D1,
Mm.
which makes me really happy. Um, it's cool. It's always cool to see the environmental artists and the level designers get to do their thing. Um, the bow is really cool. The Wish Keeper instead of Wish Ender.
Mm.
The symmetry there is cool. The cutscene you get is really awesome. The story of Riven and Tyrannus. That Tyrannus sacrificed his own life to ensure the protection of their species. It's it's a whole thing, man. I think it's a cool mission. I'd probably put it in terms of the 3 exotic missions we've gotten this year. It's probably second on my list. I think Wicked Implement has to be last, just because. Yeah. Um, this is second, but that again, there wasn't a whole lot of competition. Vexcalibur is still an incredible mission to me, and like I think the lore that comes out of this is the most important thing. The bow is cool, but again, it's like all exotic bows and trace rifles. Like, you're really only going to maximize the potential of that weapon. One, this is a craftable exotic, so you got to go get all the exotic quests done, stack them all up, do them at once, because they all involve beating the mission on legend difficulty. But you're only going to maximize what these weapons can do if you're running the appropriate subclass. I personally am not a huge strand user. I don't think it's bad. It's just I have other things I prefer to play as a hunter. Um, but still a really rad bow. One of the coolest designed exotics we've gotten in quite a while, I would say. Um, but like overall, it's a fine mission. Other people have talked about this ad nauseum for like 3-4 weeks now. That's part of what happens when, hey, surprise,
Yeah,
we're putting out a mission after you've already decided you're going on break.
yeah.
And I had flirted with the idea of doing an emergency pod on it, but it's just like, I don't think there's like really a ton to get into here.
Yeah, I was kind
Um,
of surprised you didn't, and I was like, well, maybe there's nothing really to talk about.
yeah, and I don't think, again, I don't think it's bad. It's just,
Yeah,
it is what it is.
yeah. I mean, you don't have to think it's bad for there not to have something to talk about.
Yeah. I think that the lore is really cool. We're going to talk about the lore in Lore Corner tonight. But going to the Black Garden is always a fun experience. I would love to know the truth behind the Black Garden one of these millenniums.
Maybe
I'm
that'll be the
still
big kind of expansion after the final shape is like the Black Garden and like the rebirth of whatever. God, that's what's going to happen. They're going to try to, the final shape is the end of this, and then they're going to shape it as some sort of like rebirth through the Vex.
probably. I am still I'm again like still pretty hopeful for the story is going to go. I still think it's going to be cool. I still think it can be a lot of fun. Um but man, this is one of those moments that I think we kind of look back on and we're gonna be like, wish we gotten a little bit more out of this. Now I don't know if the story's expanded upon in the exotic quests or not, in the exotic catalysts. I haven't dived into that. Um, I do think it's pretty cool that when you go to start doing those catalyst quests, you light up constellations in the sky of the Dreaming City with the Wish Keeper.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty dope to me.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool thing. I think it's fun. I think it's cool. Um, but you know, just at the end of the day, like, okay, cool. So this is something to go do for this is something to go do for this week. That's going to take me like 45 minutes to do, maybe.
Yeah.
Um, what else keep him here? And I shouldn't complain about like it's content at least,
Yeah.
but yeah, there are other things to play and to do in game, I guess, at this point.
Yeah. Plus, there's other games to play, Josh. Don't forget. We already
God,
established that.
there's a lot of other games to play. Um, Corey, do you have any other thoughts on do you have any thoughts on this exotic mission at all?
I think it's cool. I mean, I think the kind of like the premise and this kind of duality of the bow and everything with, Wish Ender is really cool. It's very Kingdom Hearts. I know people roll their eyes when they hear Kingdom Hearts, but as a Kingdom Hearts fan, you have that symmetry there. It was kind of something cool to me, at least in my opinion. So
yeah, I think the symmetry is really cool. We've gotten a decent amount of lore this season also about Scizor, which is really nice to see when we're obviously getting the weapon that kind of pairs up with it. If you have Wish Keeper, this is the Wish Keeper, that's the Wish Ender. It's always nice to see nice if they see things come full circle after like 5 or 6 years.
yeah.
But I feel like we're reaching the point in this game's life cycle, kind of like with other MMOs, where it's like we got to address some of these storylines or just accept that they're never going to be touched.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that we circled back to, despite the unevenness of the season, I'm happy we circled back around to Riven and to the Dreaming City. And like, it's kind of a throwaway line of, the curse of the Dreaming City can never be broken. Yeah, because of content. That's the whole reason we can't break it. If Destiny 2 ever gets sunset, then we can break it.
Yeah.
But until then, it's not going to happen in lore, unfortunately. So
that makes me want like a third proper game at some point.
If there is a third game, I don't know that I will be there. That is not me, being, negative Nancy right now, but that is me being realistic. I just genuinely don't know if I will be there for a third game, the way things are going. And also because it's just like, I shouldn't have to play. I don't think I should have to play another version of this game to find out the resolution of something from like 6 years earlier.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. That's my 2 cents. All right, Corey, let's shift gears a little bit.
Yeah, shift gears. Shift it.
Let's shift gears. Let's do some Game of the Year talk.
All right, let's do it.
Well, let's do it. Let's bring this up. Hopefully this is the last time. I've opened this up so many times in the last couple weeks that it's like just saved into my suggestions whenever I start typing in Chrome.
Yeah. Yep. I'm definitely my notepad, it's literally the top note because this is the third time I think this week I've talked about this.
Oh my god. Yeah, we're just gonna do our top 10s. Not gonna do any of the other stuff. You want the expanded field, go listen to Xbox Casuals.
Yes.
A massive 3-hour pod, by the way.
Yeah.
So we did our top 10s in order, ranked from 10 to 1. We'll do it ping pong style. Corey, your number 10 game of the year.
My number 10, a little game called Raven Lock from Coco Cucumber. It is a Zelda.
Coco Cucumber. Is that like a top 5 studio name?
I mean, it's pretty good. It's
like up there with Second Dinner for me.
Their little mascot is a cucumber drinking hot cocoa. So you tell me.
That's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, with like not the scary Funko Pop eyes, but the cute ones.
Not the scary.
There's certain mascots that can pull off the all black kind of Funko Pop looking eyes.
Yeah. The ones that look like they're dead inside.
Yeah. This one's cute. It's a Zelda-like adventure, I would say it's a 3D version of a top-down Zelda, and not like full-on Ocarina or, definitely not Breath of the Wild. But it's you play as a girl who gets sucked into basically Alice in Wonderland, and you kind of have to solve these dungeons these puzzles in 3 separate dungeons, and then you go into the castle and figure out what's going on with the Queen of Hearts. And it's a good game. It's on Game Pass. It's only on Xbox and PC right now. I'm sure it'll hit other platforms at some point, but Ravenlock is my number 10.
Yeah, that Coco Cucumber is a studio that ID at Xbox has a really close partnership with. So I would expect that game to come to PS5 probably in March or April.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, their other games are already on Switch, at least I know that. So
yeah, I'm saying I think they have an exclusivity agreement. I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
probably until the game leaves Game Pass.
Probably.
So, my number 10. You probably would not have guessed that it would be this low on the list. Back in September, but Starfield. I got Starfield at number 10.
Yeah, this when we were talking on Xbox casuals, I was shocked this game was low on your list. I thought it would have
Um,
been a top 5.
yeah, I mean, I really thought it was going to be, but I mean, I have one, two, three, four, 5 games that I played after Starfield for the first time, and they obviously all were all 5 of those, and those are just the ones that I played that ranked above it on this list.
Mhm.
Um, I definitely was surprised. If you would have told me at the beginning of the year that Starfield and Tears of the spoiler alert, Tears of the Kingdom would not be my like 1 and 2 of the year, I would have slapped you silly.
Yeah.
Um, the follow up, one of the latest game from one of my favorite studios of all time, and the follow up to, in my opinion, the greatest game ever made. In Tears of the Kingdom, but Starfield, it does enough things right that it still makes this list. The highs in this game are incredible. There are some classic Bethesda moments in here. They clearly put their own spin on sci-fi exploration, and I really enjoy so many moments of this game, whether it's the first time you fight a Terramorph or it's finding out the truth behind New Game Plus, the incident in the lodge that happens, the repeated the videos that I keep seeing of people who have gotten like New Game Plus 20 or 30 and all the insane things that keep
Jeez.
happening to them in these.
New Game
Some of them are laugh out loud hilarious.
That's
Um,
ridiculous, man. New Game plus 20 and 30.
and they are all still brand new scenarios. So yeah.
I
Um,
think I'd rather be the kid that beat Tetris.
somebody got to New Game Plus 30 and found a scenario nobody else had found yet.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And that was like a month or two ago, maybe. I think it does enough things right that it warrants a place on the list, but it does enough things wrong that I can't consciously put it any higher. The UI is fucking awful in this game. It's absolutely atrocious. The fact that there's only 4 companions you can have is a huge bummer because they suck. I
Yeah,
don't
that
like any of
sucks.
the companions in this game.
Yeah.
They're all goody two shoes people too, which is no fun. Part of the fun part of Skyrim, and I would say especially a Fallout 4, was the moral ambiguity of several of the characters. You had to kind of, there's the meme of Piper hated that, but um in Fallout 4, like I found myself drawn to playing with Kate because I could kind of be a little bit more like trigger happy, or stealing and sneaking and things like that. Piper very much feels like she belongs in the fucking Starfield crew. But despite all that, I do think that like there's some really cool highs in this game, but there's some pretty big lows. I'm excited to see if this become. I mean, this surely is becoming a franchise, despite it being on Game Pass day one. This game still sold enough copies when it came out to instantly be like the 7th best selling game of the entire calendar year.
Yeah.
So I think it's Xbox's first game to chart on one of those charts in years, like since like maybe Halo 5, in all
I
honesty.
would have said Halo 5 or Gears 4.
Gears 4 did not finish in the top 20 of its release year.
Yeah.
Matt
I
Piscatella was.
always I always
I did
feel
some
like
research today because Matt Piscatella was tweeting out a bunch of charts from the last 20 years, and Halo 3 had some insane staying power.
yeah.
Halo 2, and Halo 3 each stayed on the top 20 for like 3 years after their release. Halo Reach, believe it or not, the number 2 selling game of its release year.
That doesn't surprise. What's outsold at Call of Duty?
I believe Black Ops did, yes.
Yeah. That doesn't really surprise me.
Still surprised me a
People
little
liked
bit.
Reach.
4 sold really, really well too. 4 finished in the top 5 or 6, I think, of its year.
Yeah. Well, people were so stoked for Halo 4 to come back.
I still defend Halo 4.
Oh, I
Fight
know.
me.
Halo 4 is my favorite game.
I
In the
I
series.
love the story. The multiplayer may be a different story, but I still played a lot of that too. Halo 5 charted really high.
Mhm.
It's crazy. Like there is, despite what people be like, oh, really? Well, Halo Infinite didn't chart. Yeah, because it's a completely different release system. You bozos. They made multiplayer free. That's why most people were buying it. Anyways, waxing poetic aside about sales numbers, I was very surprised to see Starfield do as well as it did. I think it puts the nail in the coffin of, well, something came to Game Pass, so it's not going to sell well. At least as a first party game, I think it put that to rest. Obviously, not every game is going to be Starfield, but
Yeah.
What's your number 9 game, Corey?
My number 9 game, Josh, is Hi-Fi Rush, another Xbox.
God,
Well,
fucking love Hi-Fi
for
Rush.
now, Xbox exclusive. Judging by some of the recent rumors we've been kind of talking about on Nintendo Power Block, but it's a fantastic rhythm game. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I love the music, the soundtrack. It's great. The characters are charming. I love the art style. I think the bosses are cool. I think the boss fights are like the coolest part of the entire game. You know, it's definitely worth a try if you have Game Pass, or even if you don't. I mean, it's what, $30, I think, if you don't have Game Pass and you're one of those people who
Yes, it's a $30 game.
don't like to subscribe to a service that gives you a bunch of cool games.
Still the
So
best value in gaming.
yeah, it's awesome. So I highly recommend trying it out. So yeah, Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah, very good game. My number 9 is Diablo 4. I
Ooh.
absolutely loved Diablo 4. I'm a little surprised it wasn't higher on my list, but I think that just speaks to how good of a year this was.
Mm-hmm.
I think I put like something like 100 hours into Diablo 4 this summer.
A,
Probably would have been more if I had played any of the seasonal content at all, but really liked this. Was stoked for it. I think Diablo 4 told a good story. I cleared 100% of the map as much as I could. Really enjoyed climbing the world tiers with friends. And yeah, I can't wait to see what they do with some of the seasonal storytelling. I'm super excited for Vessel of Hatred this year.
that'll be
Blizzard
interesting.
expansions are always a reason to get excited, in my opinion. So
Yeah, I'm excited to see how that game, the expansion turns out, because I know like people love the game and then people didn't care for the seasonal content. So
yeah, there, and
or at
I
least that
will say
first
like
season.
that's part of the reason why it is a little bit lower. Is I still don't think Diablo necessarily works as a live service game.
Yeah,
I think seasonal content is fine, but I wish that their seasons were like, I don't know, 6 months long or something.
yeah,
It just feels really weird to have a game like this have seasonal content that just is like gonna go away.
yeah,
Diablo's strength has always been in its, and I mean Diablo 3 had seasons also. So, and that was something they added way down the line. Like, look how long Diablo 3 had as a lifespan.
hmm it's
So
still going. Didn't
they've
they just?
said they don't want Diablo 4 to go on as long as 3 did.
Yeah.
So that makes me think that
Well,
5
they also
is,
said they didn't want 3 to go as long as 2, and it did. So
well, I mean, 3 almost did out of necessity. Once Bobby saw how much money it was making. But I think now, you have new leadership in charge. You have Rod Ferguson over there who can go to fight for, Blizzard and whatnot. I'd say no, we're going to move on and do this. So yeah, Diablo 4, number 9. Probably my favorite multiplayer of the year too, if we're being totally frank. Just really loved the pop in and out multiplayer of that game with friends. What's your number 8, Corey?
my number 8, Josh, is Resident Evil 4. Um,
Okay.
it's a remake, but I never played the original, and we kind of had this discussion on Xbox
Yeah.
Casuals. Like, I don't usually like to put remasters or remakes on my list, just because unless it like absolutely changes the way you see the game, like Final Fantasy VII remake or Resident Evil 2 remake, right? Those games absolutely change the way you think about those franchises. So but I had never played Resident Evil 4 seriously anyway, and I played all the way through it and I enjoyed it, and then the Separate Ways DLC kind of solidified that uh, for me, so I thought I had to put it on this list somewhere. So
Yeah, I mean Resident Evil 4, one of the greatest games of all time. So
mhm.
not a surprise to see it on this list. Number 8, I've got Cocoon.
Yeah, good one.
Cocoon would have been my indie of the year if one very late comer had not gotten played by me.
Mm.
Cocoon, man. If you like puzzle games and you like games that are like you could knock this out in an evening or two of just like kind of casual play, this is the perfect game for you. Um, I was surprised. I sat there and think I played for like an hour and change, and I was already like 25% of the way through the game, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a crazy thing to realize, but not really like much story to it, but it is like it's very much a puzzle based game. It's very cool. I enjoyed it. If you liked kind of the thinking in something like Inside or Limbo, which the creators of Cocoon were also some of the leads on those two games, then this is a game where you're going to feel at home. It's a very weird game. I would have bought this regardless, but Annapurna really doesn't miss when it comes to the games that they publish.
Yeah.
Consistently put out some of the best indie games. So super happy. If you have Game Pass, check it out. It's on there. If not, I think this is like a $20 game, totally worth your $20.
Mm-hmm.
And a great experience on handheld, by the way. I played some of it with my Backbone and really, really liked it.
Yeah. Then
What's your number 7, Corey?
Backbone is totally worth it. Backbone's great.
You know what I've actually heard is not horrible from our friend Ray. He is really enjoying the PlayStation Portal.
That's what I've heard from our friend Stephanie.
He said he played the entirety of Alan Wake 2 on it, I believe.
That's nuts.
He was playing like an hour or two before bed each night, and said he likes it that much. He says it's clearly made for him because his daughter's always using the TV with the PlayStation on it, so he can sit there and play while she's watching Sesame Street or something, or he can play via remote play in bed.
Yeah.
So
yeah, yeah, great. I hear it's great. I would really like some sort of handheld device I could play some Xbox things on besides my phone. Well, someday, soon, maybe. It's my turn, right? Number 7.
Yes.
So my number 7, Josh, is a little game called Remnant 2. Played a bit of it over break, and it's really good. It's like a poor man's Outriders, which was the
poor man's Outriders.
Oh man, Outriders game of the year 2021 ish, right? 2022, one of those years. Anyways, it's great. I think that studio really knocked it out of the park this time around. I did play a little bit of the first one and thought it was good, but not great. And I feel like they really kind of perfected that system that they're working with there on this one. So Remnant 2. Also,
yeah, I hear this one is like way more polished than the first one, from what I understand.
Yeah, for sure. And
surprise pre-Christmas Game Pass drop.
Yeah, both of them.
Yes, both of them. But yeah, a lot of folks who like Destiny a lot went and played Remnant 2 over the summer. Were like, yep, this is a really great game. And then kind of seems like everyone fell off. I know Abantis came back for the DLC and was raving about it. So I want to check out, add Remnant 2 to the games I need to play in Q1 of this year.
Yeah,
I am running out of time.
Yeah, I heard it was really good. Or I heard the DLC is like something people should be playing.
And you can get through like the base game in like 30 hours, I think.
Yeah.
You don't have to grind out endlessly, obviously, just like the story content. My number 7, a game that Corey's already brought up, Hi-Fi Rush. I love it. Best style of the year. Just incredible. Yep. Incredible style, feel, attitude, whatever you want to call it. Still can't believe that this came from Tango.
I know.
But here we are. Shinji Mikami said it was okay to make this game, which is wild to me.
Yeah.
But hey, awesome game. Check out Hi-Fi Rush if you have not. Not gonna sit here and wax on it. What's number 6, Corey?
My number 6 is Super Mario Brothers Wonder, Josh. It's a wonderful 2D Mario game with
big surprise. Your kids love it too.
Yeah, my daughter really likes it. My son likes to yell at it. I mean, look, my son isn't even 3 yet, so he just kind of like he'll just like hold the controller, point and yell, which is really good for Mario Party.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, my daughter loves Peach and Daisy, so I tried to convince her that she wasn't, in a nice way, that she wasn't good enough to play as Peach or Daisy, and that she should probably choose Yoshi or Nabbit. But she's like, but it's not Peach, so don't tell me what to do. And I'm like, okay, well.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, the little bit that I played of Mario Wonder is really cool. Another game I did not get to play. I got to play it. I didn't get to play enough of it to rank it, in my opinion. I only got to play like 2-3 hours worth. My number 6, Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 is fantastic. It improves on the first game in almost every single way. I really, really, really love exploring New York. The wing glider suit is a special thing. I think that it really, really adds to the mobility of the game. It makes mobility a little bit less frustrating, a little bit easier to string together some of those combos. Um, Miles gets an awesome story in this game. Miles continues to be my favorite character of the Insomniac verse. Um, the twists with the Venom storyline is really cool. It's maybe my favorite Harry Osborn in recent Spider-Man media. Also, uh, I mean, God, just who are some of the other characters? Mr. Negative is awesome in this game. He's really great, continuing that storyline from the first game, and his relationships to both Peter and Miles. Um, this really feels like a world that's lived in. Outside of like one major gripe I have with this game is, where the fuck are the Avengers in all of this? The Avengers are just like, there's like 15 9/11s happening outside their window, and they have a BRB do not disturb sign up. And I'm just, they gotta be like the biggest bums in this universe. They are nowhere to be seen. If you've made it to Act 3 of the game, you understand what I'm saying. But even like the Sandman chase at the beginning, you're like, oh, 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 oh. But low key, I think one of the best moments of this game is when you do the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man missions. There's one with Miles' deaf friend Haley, which is really cool. And then there's one with you're helping find a grandpa who has gone wandering off. And I think that the moment with Grandpa Earl is one of the best moments of the year in a game. It's just like Insomniac's writers just get this world. At least as it pertains to Spider-Man, because like we said, the Avengers are bums in this world.
Yeah.
So, Corey,
yes.
What's your number 5? We're getting to the big 5.
The top 5. All right. Just to go back to Spider-Man real quick,
yes,
it's not on my list. It was like a number 11, but I also think it's not on my list because I played all 3 of them back to back to back in a row.
Yeah.
And I was a little bit tired by the time I finished Spider-Man 2, and I also think Miles Morales is like the far superior game. But we talked about that enough on Xbox Casuals. I just wanted to chime in on that. My son loved watching me play though, because he loves Spider-Man. And you know, Miles Morales, aka Spin, as they call him, and Spidey and his amazing friends.
Oh my god, get out of here! What's your number 5?
My number 5 is Pikmin 4, Josh.
Okay,
it's incredibly relaxing and fun and mechanically sound. I think the characters are really annoying, but I just ignore them. I just skip all. I literally have no idea what's going on in the game. I skip all the dialogue. But Ochi is a great mechanic. The little dog character thing, alien dog that you run around with, and I don't know. I'm a huge Pikmin fan. I was a little bit disappointed with 3, but this seems to be a return to form and then some. It's my favorite one since the first one.
God, Pikmin 1 is so good.
I know, Pikmin 1's amazing. What's your?
I don't think we talk enough about how good that launch window was for the GameCube.
Oh, I know. I think everybody was at the time was too mad that it launched with Luigi's Mansion and not a real Mario game. That I think everybody just tried to block it out of their mind. But then,
it's that, but also I think that we look back on that, like we forget that Smash Brothers Melee, Pikmin, Luigi's Mansion, and Star Wars Rogue Leader were all like within a month of the console coming out,
dude.
Because all of that got overshadowed by Halo.
I know. And
Melee would take off and have the sustained power going forward, but it'll always be etched into my mind the Game Informer issue when those consoles released, and they said in the opening to their Game of the Month spiel, because they used to do a paragraph for Game of the Month before they actually did the review on the next page, and they says 3 months ago, if you had told us that Halo was going to be Game of the Month over Luigi's Mansion, we would have laughed you out of the room. They're like, instead what follows is basically something that completely redefines what a shooter can be on consoles, and is maybe like the greatest launch title outside of Super Mario 64 ever. And you know, little did any of us know that little game called Halo would become a cultural revolution. So
still going, sort of.
My number 5 I'm really surprised it's this low on my list. Tears of the Kingdom.
Mm.
I the things I love about this game, I love. Let me be super clear. It has two of the greatest moments in Zelda series history, with the sword pull and the final skydive are just breathtaking moments that are super emotional. They really, both of those moments really like kind of bring the series full circle for what it's been for its whole history, and kind of closes the book on the first like 35 years of Zelda.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, it has me exploring the same world that I 100%ed 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It has me going to Sky Islands, which was fine. I enjoyed those. And then it has me mapping the entire world again underneath.
Yeah.
I have really bad anxiety. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. I don't know if I've talked about this before.
Never heard you say that before.
Yeah, I may have mentioned that I'm on anxiety medication. Let me tell you, I was popping a few Xannies every time I went into the underground because, oh boy, it's rough. I already don't see very well, like when it's dark on the screen. I usually have my brightness really jacked up as a result. That did not help here. We totally frank with y'all. It did not help. So yeah, um, just I don't know. And I enjoy so much of what's done with most of the characters. I just still know how I feel about the voice acting. Still not sure how I feel about voice acting in Zelda. I know it's inevitable. Just please never make Link talk.
Yeah.
Just
I
never.
like Zelda.
Matt Mercer, I think, does an admirable job as Ganondorf.
I like Patricia Summerset as Zelda.
God, this is the first game where it really truly feels like, since the first Zelda, like this and Breath of the Wild, really feel like the first game since the original Zelda game that feels like the legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
I would even argue that these two encapsulate that much better than any other game in the series, especially this one.
Yeah.
Like these two games, it's just this Link goes through more than any other Link as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, he goes through a bit.
He may not like go through what Ocarina of Time Link did, but he goes through enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom.
Especially like, I mean, you can listen to our whole conversation on Xbox Casuals about this game, but
yeah,
especially when you include Age of Calamity in there, right? Like the Warriors style game, if you are unaware.
Very underappreciated.
Yeah. For a lore perspective, the game is whatever, but it's got a lot of Zelda lore in it, and it's great. So I guess that means it's my turn for number 4, huh? Star Wars Jedi Survivor is my number 4, Josh.
God, Jedi Survivor is so good.
It's a wonderful video game. Great combat, great characters. Cal Kestis is great. Marin is great. You got Deborah Wilson in there, Josh. Voice of Savathun for those unaware.
We do like Deborah Wilson.
Yeah. So that's my number 4. I don't really know what else I can say about it that's not already been said.
It's fantastic. It's one of the best. It's the second best Star Wars game of all time, behind KOTOR.
Mm-hmm. I would argue with the way that KOTOR hasn't really held up that this may be the best Star Wars game.
I won't go that far. I think KOTOR was so responsible for. It was responsible for bringing BioWare to the masses. I think Revan is still one of the most fanatically popular characters in the Star Wars fandom.
Yeah.
I think Knights of the Republic definitely still gets its flowers. It has not aged well, but
I'm talking from a gameplay perspective, definitely.
Oh yeah, I mean from a gameplay perspective, it hasn't aged well at all. But that game is still so magical, though.
Yeah.
The imperfections be damned. KOTOR's number 1. My number 4, Sea of Stars.
Ooh, Sea of Stars.
I really got into Sea of Stars, and it may have inched higher on this list if it wasn't for just some mind-boggling decisions made in the final act of the game. Again, has one of my favorite moments of the year. It is maybe my favorite combat of the year in anything. Very much a love letter to Super Nintendo RPGs, to classic Final Fantasies, to Chrono Trigger. I don't know what to say. It's a great story up until that really bizarre decision in the third act, and then I'm like, okay, well, this game just got knocked down a couple pegs for me.
Yeah.
But Sabotage is an awesome studio. Can't wait to see what they do next. Very excited. And it's a game that I don't think was on a ton of people's radars, and then just kind of like not swooped in out of nowhere, but it was really like around like May where I think everybody started to take notice of this game.
Mm-hmm.
And then it finally releases, and it's the rare game that came to both Game Pass and it's the only game that's ever done it. But Game Pass and PS Plus on the same day still has sold over 1 million copies. So,
yep,
great indie. Go play it. It's fantastic.
Yep.
All right, Corey. Top 3.
Top 3. All right. I have a feeling this game would have been higher on my list if I played more of it, which I'm actually playing it right now, is Final Fantasy 16, Josh.
Oh, boy.
Amazing combat, great characters, awesome world building and design. I think the I think the characters are wonderful. I like kind of how dark it is without like going too far. I think the icon battles are amazing.
Yeah,
it's
the icon battles are the most dazzling thing of the year.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah, they are incredible. Like each one just keeps getting better and better and better. So, Final Fantasy 16. If you haven't played it and you have a PlayStation 5, you owe it to yourself to at least try it. There is a demo that is 2 hours long. I don't know if the demo does the game enough justice, but it is enough for you to get a feel of what the combat is like, at least in the opening probably 10 hours or so, what you'll experience. So, yeah. Final Fantasy 16, Josh.
Final Fantasy 16 is such a great game.
It's a wonderful video game.
Number 3. And I really feel like I could swap this with number 2 on my list. I've got Jedi Survivor. For all the reasons that Corey and I've talked about before. Not going to waste anybody else's time with this. Awesome game. Go play it.
Yeah.
Number 2, Corey.
My number 2 is Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. It was initially lower on my list, but I got sucked back in over break and did a ton of shrines. And let me tell you, Josh, the shrines are the reason to play these games. And I think the shrines in this game are better than the first one in a lot of ways.
I would agree.
They're a lot more creative. There's not 20 of those or 25 of those tests of power or whatever they were called in the first one, right? Where you just fight the enemy and then.
I still hate the ones where they take all of your your armor and weapons away. I still hate that.
Yeah. So
I turn around and walk straight back out.
Mm-hmm. I think it has one of the best endings to a Zelda game. I think it has one of the best sword pulls, maybe the best sword pull in Zelda. And like you said, it really feels like the legend of Zelda. So that's my number 2, Josh.
My number 2, a game that Corey just mentioned, Final Fantasy 16.
Mm-hmm.
I could easily swap this with Jedi Survivor. Thought about it a couple times, but man, those icon fights, they make up for all the shortcomings of this game. The icon fights are just dazzling.
Yeah.
I love it. Clive is the best Final Fantasy protagonist easily since Titus. Mm-hmm. He may be the second best protagonist overall in the series behind Cloud, in all honesty. Ben Starr is just magical as Clive. I think the game definitely does stumble a bit. It's funny. It's kind of similar to Sea of Stars. I think you get to like the 80% mark and the game definitely starts to stumble.
Yeah.
But I think Final Fantasy 16 holds on just enough, and the icon fights are a lot of that reason. But the side quests you also get towards the end are just they're magical.
Yeah.
This is a game that like you get out of it what you put into it.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the side content, the monster hunts, and things like that. So this is a really cool game. I really appreciate it. I'm excited for the DLC coming out in March about the Leviathan. Very excited for that. We'll see how that one goes.
Did they say that the DLC takes place after the game?
I honestly don't remember.
Okay, because I was like, I'm playing it, I'm having an amazing time, and I'm like, should I just say, does the DLC take place during the main campaign? Because like, I really don't want to.
I don't think that it does. I can't explain it without it completely ruining the whole game.
Fair.
For you.
I don't want you to ruin it. I'm enjoying myself way too much for that. But
all right, Corey, game of the year.
Game of the year, Josh. Drum roll, please. Eye roll, please.
Man,
Hogwarts Legacy, man, it's amazing. It's incredible. I love it.
You do you, boo.
I love it. I love walking around the castle, whipping around some unforgivable curses, and kids not even batting an eye. They're all just scared of my character, in my opinion. But no, I think that game reminds me a lot of like my wife and I like binging the whole series, a few times, and our kind of shared love of that universe. And I mean, she loves it a lot more than I do, but I don't know. There's a lot of intangibles to that game that made me feel the way I do when I play it, and it's I don't know. It was a wonderful experience, and the story of the Goblin Rebellion is interesting enough to keep you moving through the story. They definitely didn't nail it, and it's definitely maybe not technically the best video game that came out this year, but it was my favorite, and I had a great time.
Yeah.
So,
oh man.
what's your number one, Josh?
My game of the year should not come as a surprise to anybody who heard me talk about this earlier this year. It's Phantom Liberty. It is one of the great expansions of all time. It's up there on probably the Mount Rushmore of gaming expansions as far as I'm concerned. It takes a game I already dearly loved in Cyberpunk 2077, and this is the perfect version of that game. Releasing it alongside the 2.0 update was a brilliant marketing decision because you really are playing the complete game. Just what a magical experience. So much so that I did an entire other run of the game. I liked it that much that I played through the whole game again, and it is night and day what content was from the base game versus now. Idris Elba does a great job as Solomon Reed. Really, like all the mocap and voice actors do an incredible job in this one. Whether they're playing Songbird, Alex, the President, the antagonist of the game, whose name is eluding me right now. I played a lot of games this year. And how the game really diverges when you get to the third act of Phantom Liberty. The game takes a sharp turn, and you don't know it's going to take the turn at that point. And you can have two radically different experiences. I think they're both worth checking out and seeing. But yeah, Cyberpunk 2077, man. What a redemption story that game has become. CD Projekt Red announced, I think last week, that it sold 5 million copies in 2023. Just the expansion did.
Yep, that's a lot of copies.
So that is a lot of copies indeed, my friend. So yeah, one hell of a redemption story for this game.
Nice.
I think that does it. I think that puts a bow on Game of the Year. Were there any other games you wanted to shout out, Corey, that maybe didn't make your list? Just rapid fire.
Well, I want to shout out real quick. I've been playing Immortals of Aveum.
Okay.
It's kind of like a first-person magic shooter. It's got Gina Torres in it. She quit Destiny to go do this game. I kid, but
not really. We're joking.
Yeah. Although I haven't seen her in anything other than this since she left Destiny. So
she is a full-time actress.
I know. I'm being a dick. But it's fun. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the first Wolfenstein game that Machine Games did, The New Order, where it kind of starts out slow and you're like, why do people like this game who've played it? And then, about an hour and a half to 2 hours in, you get in and you fight a dragon and you're like, oh, okay, I get it. It's a very
I get it.
It's a very solid 7, Josh. It's the solidest of 7s.
Solidest of 7s.
Yeah. So yeah, that's really the only game I wanted to shout out, and I think most
I would shout out there's an indie that I played that I really liked. Jasant.
Yeah.
Really cool. One of the more creative games of the year. I just couldn't put it any higher on my list, unfortunately. That's a very stacked year. Just narrowly missed a cut, came in at 11th when I was ranking on everything. But also a game that I did not expect to like. I wasn't sure how the gameplay of this series was going to lend itself to a new format, but Persona 5 Tactics, actually kind of a cool game. The story is, kind of nonsensical. But overall, pretty fun game. Of course, all it did was make me want to go play Persona 5 again instead of finishing it. So it's that's why I got major points deducted.
Yeah.
So yeah, here's your punishment. Go play one of the greatest RPGs ever made again. Have fun. Darn. Guess I'm gonna boot that one up. Yeah, those are the two I would probably shout out if I was gonna give any more.
Nice.
All right. Well, Corey, we got a couple questions tonight.
We do have questions.
We're gonna hit these questions real quick, and then we're gonna run to the lore corner before we get out of here. We have 2 questions tonight. We have a question from Knox.
You guys are slacking too.
What is your most crackpot Destiny theory?
The time loop that that Elsie is in. We're gonna replace her, and Destiny's gonna reset with Destiny 3, and it's just gonna start over.
I would be so mad.
I know. It'd be the worst thing of all
time. I would be so infuriated. There is no quicker way to just blow this franchise up.
I do think there is some sort of time loop thing that we are going to get stuck in. I don't know if Destiny resets or if we're going to, that's like the whole premise against the Vex and whatever the next major expansion is. But I do think that's how you bring back other places and other things, and maybe some old foes that people like, and there's something there. And I feel like that's another break glass moment. The building's on fire, get the water bottle type thing. But
get the water bottle.
I mean, if they do that, the building's already burned to the ground. They're just
it's crispy. It's crispy down there.
It's just raining outside, and they need shelter until the morning. Is what's really happening with this.
Oh man, it's gonna be it's looking a little rough right now.
I think that I've been thinking about that for a little bit now. I wasn't going to say anything until now we just brought it up, and so I felt like it might have been worth bringing it up. But it's that's a theory I have, is that there's going to be like maybe Elsie was the original Guardian and she fucked up, right? And like the original, like, the fated one, or the Guardian of Destiny or whatever, like, and now we are there to break her cycle or something.
So my crackpot theory, I'm going to jump down kind of the same wormhole. I obviously some timey-wimey bullshit is going to happen within the heart of the Traveler.
Yes.
I think that we fight I would like to say that we fight the Witness. Maybe in like mission 6 or 7 of the expansion, or maybe earlier. I don't know how many missions are actually in this game, but we fight him earlier in the expansion than you would think. We fight our way to his citadel. We fight him, and we get thrown into the like the Traveler saves us with its power by putting us into a time loop. But when we do, we meet Elsie in the past. We do a mission where we meet her in the past, and that leads to the fated meeting in Destiny 1. And I would love that the Guardian is who she's talking to on the walkie-talkie.
I think it has to be at this point.
Kill the Jets. It was originally supposed to be Osiris. I would love for it to be Osiris and the Guardian. That would be the most perfect full circle moment for me. It would be absolutely silly and ridiculous, and I would love every goddamn second of it. And then you come back in just like supercharged and beat the shit out of the Witness. Well, maybe a little bit too easy there, but Jiggly Panda writes in.
Panda.
Don't know why, but I've been on a Godzilla kick recently, so I thought about this. Do you think Destiny should start doing crossovers with movie franchises like Godzilla or other franchises? I think the armor sets would be some of the best.
No
more crossovers.
Make it stop.
No more crossovers. I believe there was a guy. Oh, no, we didn't get that. There was supposed to be a movie Monsters armor set a couple of years ago we could vote on for Halloween, and there was actually a Hunter Godzilla set, I believe. No, I don't want any movie franchises in here. I think we've already pushed it enough with games. I don't want to see that diluted anymore. It's clearly a move to make money, and I don't enjoy that.
Yeah.
I give a really hard time making things look authentic Destiny too, because you want to bring things in from these franchises but make it still feel authentic to the Destiny experience, and that's going to get harder if you start bringing movies into it. It's like you're pigeonholing yourself into something that you can do. You can make stuff that's inspired by it without it being an Eververse thing, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to be really
and then
careful.
while we've got go ahead. Sorry, did you have a thought?
No, I was just saying you need to be really careful with these crossovers.
Yes.
You don't want it to get Fortnite-y over here.
No, and it works in Fortnite because of how Fortnite does the skins.
Yeah.
So, final question of the night. While we've got Game of the Year talks, what is your movie of the year for 2023?
Movie of the year? I don't know.
Corey, did you watch movies this year?
Good question. Did I watch any movies this year? Let's see. I watched Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I watched most of the MCU movies that came out this year. We saw most of the movies we watched that came out this year though were kids movies. Elemental we watched from Disney or from Pixar. I really like Elemental. I need to watch it. I think it's a really great movie. It's about immigration and kind of coming over from another land and being kind of discriminated against because you're from another land, and the other kind of elements live in harmony, and fire is kind of the one that's discriminated against because really it's the only one that kind of harms everything in a way if you think about it. But it's really good. I really liked it. I mean, I'm not a huge movie guy. I don't even know what movies came out this year, Josh.
That's true. This is a really bad question for Corey. This is a great question for me.
Yeah. Let's see. Barbie came out this year. I have yet to see that. Let's see.
Barbie was great.
I haven't seen Spider-Verse. I haven't seen.
Oh my God. It's on Netflix.
I know. I haven't seen the first one.
Oh my God.
I saw Ant-Man. It wasn't very good. I wanted to see that new Hunger Games movie, but I didn't. Yeah, I haven't seen like any of these movies that came out this year.
I'm so disappointed.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to hide my disappointment, and I'm going to list off a couple that I really liked this year. I love Across the Spider-Verse. It's awesome. I think the spider people that are in it are really cool. Spider-Man 2099 is authentically a dick like he is in the comics. Really enjoyed some of the cameos from the various Spider franchises that you see in this. It's a big fat love letter to Spider-Man. Really cool. I really liked that. I liked the Dungeons and Dragons movie is honestly maybe my favorite thing all year. That is a genuinely, authentically great movie. We rewatched it last night, and I just was laughing my ass off. I think it's great. Chris Pine was born to be a bard in a Dungeons and Dragons movie,
that's insane to say or to think.
It's so great. Him and Michelle Rodriguez, and whoever plays the tiefling, Sophia Lillis. Lillis plays the tiefling in the movie. She is in Hideo Kojima's OD, as a matter of fact. Just absolutely awesome. Her transforming into different creatures absolutely steals the show. Hugh Grant is delightfully great as Forge Fitzhugh. There's so many nods to classic D&D lore in this movie that if you've ever played some of the classic campaigns, like you'll pick up on all. And there's references to Icewind Dale, to Baldur's Gate, to the Tiamat campaign, to even like Vecna, and man, there's some really cool stuff in here. I really hope they make another one of these. I know it wasn't profitable, but it is one of the best movie going experiences I think I've ever had. We were in a totally empty theater when we saw it too. It was great.
It wasn't I thought everybody loved it. I thought
the people who saw it loved it, but it did not break even.
That's this unfortunate thing for most movies.
It came out about 6 months too early, probably. If this had come out around the time of Baldur's Gate, it would have been an absolute revolution. I really enjoyed Mission Impossible. I love those movies. Always cool to see Tom Cruise do things that may or may not get him killed. I still have not seen Oppenheimer. It is sitting on my TV stand, though. I do actually physically own the movie now. So I'm probably going to watch it next week when Texas freezes over. Looking forward to watching that. What else do we see? I really need to make it to the theater. I mean, it's out of theaters now, but I'm anxiously awaiting being able to watch Godzilla -1 and The Boy and the Heron at home. Really looking forward to both of those. We loved Barbie. That was a great one. Past Lives was a really good drama. Enjoyed that. Yeah. I did not see a ton of movies this year. I'm going to be totally honest. This is probably the least amount of movies I've seen in a year in years. I just didn't get to the theater this year, frankly. We saw very few movies. Didn't really have the time to. It's hard when your partner works weekends.
Yeah.
To get out to the movies. So
yeah,
hopefully we're going to get to more this year, but there's not much I want to see this year either.
Yeah. It's also really hard to take kids to the movie theater.
Very hard to take kids. I am excited though, because Killers of the Flower Moon hits Apple TV tomorrow. And I have been waiting to see this movie for like 4 months.
I don't even know what that is. So
Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, murders on an Indian reservation in the 1930s.
Oh, okay.
Yes. I am very excited to see this. Martin Scorsese, maybe one of the last Scorsese movies we'll ever get. Very excited for that. And Napoleon is supposed to come to Apple TV in the next couple of weeks also. So those are big things that I'm looking forward to. Well, Corey.
Well, Josh.
With that being said, let's head to the lore corner.
We're gonna
read The Wish Keeper. We're gonna read it, and we're just gonna kind of leave it. We're not really gonna break this down. We're gonna leave it. We're gonna let everybody kind of like think on this, because I want to have a bigger discussion about the overall season story next week and how Riven and Tyrannus tie into all this. So it's from Wish Keeper. You will not hear our bones sing in dreams. You will not shelter under our wings. You will have to remember for yourselves. Your sire was riven of 1,000 voices. She who contracted with royalty. She who built the dreaming city and brought it to its knees. Your dam was Tyrannus. He who made the Black Garden his own. He who strangled his life for yours. He whose wish tricked even Riven. Remember, I will not bargain with my children. Our lives are our gifts to you. Glut yourselves on them. Learn who you are. The clutch of your sire, the strongest, the wildest, the sharpest clawed arbiters of reality. The clutch of your fool of a dam, never taken by another's will, never ruled by hunger without choice. Sing your own songs. Find those whom your wings would stretch out to shelter. O whims of my blighted heart, born of our eyes and teeth and will to power. Live as yourselves, never less than that. This very much feels like it's a soliloquy from Riven to her children. So it's kind of something to ruminate on throughout the week.
Yeah.
And we're gonna dive more into this next week. We're gonna dive more into the Wish Keeper and to Riven and Tyrannus' story.
Yeah.
All right, Corey.
All right, Josh. Well,
get me out of here.
We made a hour and 40-minute show out of nothing. So good job, Josh. Proud of you.
Thank you.
And I'm proud of all of you out there. Welcome back to Tower Casuals. Thank you for listening. You can catch new episodes every Friday. Catch Xbox Casuals every other Tuesday. Josh, thank you for your time tonight. As always, where can we find you?
Oh, Josh_Finn. 2 N's on Twitter. I'm still there. I'm still holding out. I'm writing it out to the very end, Corey.
Till the very end.
I should also note that next week we're probably gonna talk like 5, maybe 10 minutes at the beginning of the show about the developer direct happening in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Because about 3 hours before we go live, we're going to be seeing Indiana Jones for the first time.
Yeah, I forgot.
And I know that I know neither one of us is going to be able to contain it. So,
dude, I mean, between Hellblade and Indiana Jones, I might have a third.
Avowed.
I might have a third kid. I'm just saying it right now.
Jesus Christ. Jesus. I hope your wife did not hear that.
No, she's in bed. She'll figure it out at some point.
Jesus.
You can find me at I am Corey in HD on social media places. And yeah, I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening. And until next time, we love you. Goodbye.